I think of content kind of like a restaurant menu. You go to a restaurant and they hand you the menu, and this is their way of saying, order something off of the menu. We have appetizers, we have entrees, we have desserts, pick from the menu. If those things work together in some kind of a shape, you're going to attract people to want to work with you.
What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Carrot Cast podcast, the podcast with a funny name, but a big mission. We help thousands of real estate investors and agents grow rock solid mindsets, do better marketing so that you can build a business of freedom and impact. I'm your host, Trevor Mock. Let's dive into today's episode. What's up, y'all? I literally just wrapped this live stream with Jason Pantana. So many of you in the investor world, or most of you in the investor world, might not have heard that name yet, might not have really known who Jason is, or maybe even Tom Ferry. Tom Ferry is the largest real estate coach in America as far as the retail side of things. So what we've been wanting to do here at Carrot and on the Carrot Cast in our YouTube channel is bring together the retail and the wholesale side a lot more in our content this year, next year. So we're already doing it with our product. We're already working with tons of hybrid investor agents. And we focus on the Google organic side of it, the Google ads side of it, the direct response side of things, the evergreen. And we don't really talk about social a lot. So we brought on the top expert in the real estate agent side, the retail side, Jason Pantana, to come talk about it. So he promised 12 tips to be able to grow your social following, get more leads. We actually went through a lot more than that. I think it was 15 or 18 tips. And I think you guys are going to get a ton out of it, all the way from which social media platforms are working the best right now to grow engagement. What feature within Instagram, actually, if you use this one feature, you get, I think it's 7, 8, 9, 10 times more exposure with your content than just posting on your wall or in stories. And there's a whole bunch of other topics we dive into around your content. How do you come up with content ideas? The 3 content pillars he suggests that we do on social media, how much time we can and should suggest or that he suggests we invest in social media, and also how to really cut it down to less than 1 day a month if you really want to make it work and not have it own you. So guys, I really encourage you to listen to this live stream, the recording of it, and engage in Jason's content, engage in what they do, so you can stack on your social media on top of the evergreen foundation. So you guys might be asking, why did Trevor bring a social media expert on when Carrot hammers evergreen? It's because we use social media too. And evergreen should be your foundation. Then we stack on the hamster wheel of the social media on top of it. And then we amplify all that with paid marketing. All right, guys, let's dive in. Enjoy this podcast episode with Mr. Jason Pantana, the 12 tweaks to grow your social following and turn that social following into seller and buyer leads today. What's up, y'all? We are live. So we don't do a whole heck of a lot of the lives. We do a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos, weekly live calls for our customers. But one thing, you guys are going to be in for a treat today. I've got a guest. I'll introduce you guys to Jason Pantana here in a second officially. But while people kind of trickle in here from all across the interwebs, we have Facebook, we've got LinkedIn for our first time. We'll see if there's any people hanging out on LinkedIn at 10 o'clock on a Thursday in the real estate world. And we've got YouTube. And if any of you guys are popping in from YouTube or Facebook and you guys want to comment, I really, really, really encourage you guys to pop a comment through. Let me know you guys can hear me, first of all. So pop a comment through wherever you're listening to this at, on our live page at carrot.com/Jason, over on Facebook, over on YouTube. Pop it in. Let me know you guys can see me and hear me with a quick little double yes. See me and hear me. And then also let us know too, y'all. Before we dive into the topic, and I'll introduce you guys to Jason, but we're going to be diving into a different topic than we usually cover here at Carrot. At Carrot, we usually cover Google organic, Google paid ads, Facebook paid ads, and our clients generate a little over 60,000 organic leads every single month, most of those motivated sellers. And so we're going to be tackling from the other side of it, especially since we work with a lot of real estate agents now as well, is we're going to go, cool, how do we actually use social media better? And when we started to pull back and ask ourselves, well, shoot, who knows social media better than anyone that we know or have seen? There's only one name that popped up for me. I'm like, dude, we got to get Jason Pantana on. And this guy, he works with a mutual client of ours. We'll probably talk about the FAR group in a little bit. And it's been really cool seeing Aaron and Krista from 2 years ago, even when I first had gotten in contact with them. It was within their first year. They weren't really that big on social. And now seeing them become one of the top 10 agents in their whole area in less than 3 years, pretty much using social media and referrals, and now they're stacking on the Google organic. It's amazing stuff. So awesome. Thanks, Stephen. You guys can see me, hear me, and wherever you guys are tuning in from, pop through where you're calling in from. Hey, what's your location? Let me know. Are you an agent? Are you an investor? Or are you both, which is what we call hybrids? So if any of you pop that in, that'll kind of help us tailor some stuff. But I'm gonna officially introduce our guest today, and Mr. Jason Pantana. He's with the Tom Ferry Group. But here's one of the big things, y'all. Tom Ferry has a lot of coaches within that org. All of them are amazing. Jason is the guy that I've seen referred to over and over again as like their social media and online marketing guy. You know, it's like when they need someone to go in and really talk in a deep way about the online marketing side of it for retail real estate, that's where Jason comes in. So I'm going to toss over to you, man. For those of you who are maybe in the investor side of our business and aren't familiar with the Tom Ferry org or with you specifically, or if they're on the agent side and they don't really know, they're not familiar with you. Dude, sure. Who are you? What do you do daily? And how did you kind of get into the game of educating agents on growing their social media followings and turning them into leads?
Sure. I'll keep this brief. One, I'm super delighted to get to be here with you. This is going to be a fun conversation, I expect. So thank you for inviting me. Again, my name is Jason Pantana. I'm a business coach and marketing trainer for Tom Ferry International. We provide coaching services predominantly in residential real estate, but just real estate profession as a whole. Got thousands of clients all over the world. I personally coach every day of the week. So I have about 40 clients I coach personally. That's typically my mornings. I just finished up my morning of coaching, and then I'm here with you guys right now. So in terms of day to day, I spend every morning just kind of in the trenches with agents. And I tend to focus my coaching specifically around marketing, all things marketing. So I love hearing that you guys talk about Google organic, Google SEO, paid. I talk about those things too. I spend an extra bit of time, I would argue, on the social media side of content, which is why we're here today. And we're going to have a blast. I'd love to connect with anybody who's on this call. I'm Jason Pantana on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. I've got a weird last name, so I have dibs on my profile handles every single place I go. So don't go squatting on something I haven't claimed yet.
I love it.
But really, the thing I'm focused on, I think you'll get a pretty quick glimpse of it. If you go check me out on Instagram, for instance, I just post content that I believe is going to help you as an agent in your business. Most of my content is focused on helping you build your sales business. I'll be candid about that.
Yep.
Like you said, I work with Aaron and Christopher. I think you and I started working with them around similar times. It's been about 3 years for me, like right when they first started. One of my first orders of business was getting Krista licensed so she could come into the mix and start being social media amazing, which is what she is. And yeah, I love helping agents grow their businesses, by all means digital, but in particular, we've had a lot of success with social. Specifically, Instagram has been sort of a wheelhouse for a lot of my clientele, just generating bottom of funnel inbound organic leads, which is what I hope we'll get into today. I hope that's enough about me.
Oh, dude.
Marketing.
100%. And my team, if my team's listening, if you guys can pop through Jason's handles, the social media handles on link or not LinkedIn, maybe LinkedIn, I don't know, Instagram. We go Instagram. If you guys can pop them through the chat box, that's awesome. But yeah, we've got a good mix here, Jason. We've got Royce from actually Klamath Falls here in Oregon, not too far from me. He's a real estate agent. We've got Colleen Brady, realtor out of New York City. We've got Desert Dream Realty agent. We got another agent from Texas, Jamie McMartin. Jared's an investor. Bob's an investor in Florida. We got a bunch more people in here, so a good mix, dude. And we're gonna dive right in. So here's kind of me setting the stage for everybody watching and listening to this. Okay, so if you are coming in from the carrot world, where we talk about what we call evergreen marketing, evergreen marketing is kind of how do you get off of what we call the marketing hamster wheel long term and take a lot of that content from your social media and make it evergreen through Google and YouTube so people can find it for a long time? What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how do you come up with great content topics on here with Jason. We're going to talk about how to get better reach with your social, because we use social here at Carrot, even though evergreen is always our foundation to build that momentum over the long term with Google. We use social media big time to build the audience, which then fuels the evergreen and vice versa. And so we're going to talk about the content content topics. We're going to talk about some mistakes agents and likely investors probably make the same mistakes on social. We're going to talk about big opportunities on the different platforms because Jason's really tuned into all of those. And if any of you guys have any questions specifically, Royce, Colleen, Jamie, Jared, Bob, Stephen, and anybody else on here, pop through questions now. It could literally be, hey, what do I do in this situation on Instagram, or should I post at these certain times? Any question you have, we want to eliminate those questions this week for you as it relates to social media. So Jason, let's kind of dive in first. So starting at the top, if I'm a real estate if I'm a real estate agent, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assume all you investors on here are smart enough to realize to take what we're teaching to agents and then redeploy it over here. So we're not going to say, hey, this is what you do for an investor, this is what you do for an agent. We're going to teach specifically for agents right now, but investors take those and go, how can I apply this over here on the investor side?
So much of the time anyways, B2B and B2C. So it's going to be, 6 one way, half dozen another in terms of the output here.
I love it. So dude, where should an agent start with social? Like, should they start on Facebook, Instagram? Where should they start where they're going to get the biggest bang for their time?
All right. So where should an agent start when they're going to get involved on social? I would say that the obvious place to start is where you've already got your account set up. So there was a reason that led you to sign up for Facebook. There was a reason that you got on Instagram. Whatever it is, I think there's a component of just kind of go where the crops are already growing. Mm-hmm. But the other component I would say is, where do you want to dominate? Like, if you want to dominate on TikTok, go dominate on TikTok. Go make your heart sing, right? If you want to own Instagram, that's a great spot too. I will tell you candidly, I'm a huge fan of Facebook and Instagram. I have clients who do both. So we typically, we'll get into content. I'm a cross-channel kind of distributor of content. So my idea is, I call it getting content mileage. I am not one of those people who thinks you should create content specifically for LinkedIn, specifically for TikTok, specifically for YouTube. I think you'll have no other job if that's what you're doing. I think you have to take your content, build it in a lab, and then optimize it for delivery across those different channels. But I want to say from the starting point, like, your content should be representative of your brand, your objectives in terms of what you want out of social, and can go everywhere. In terms of a platform to get started, I would personally pick Instagram. Mm-hmm. I teach my clients an Instagram to everywhere strategy. And the reason I choose Instagram is twofold. One, it's pretty democratic in the sense that it has a wide array of different types of posts. I can do photo posts, I can do carousels, I can do short form vertical videos called Reels. I can do long form videos called IGTV. It has DMs, it has comments and shares and stories. It's kind of got the whole, like, all of it in terms of types of content I might create. So I like to use it as sort of my starting point and then distribute from Instagram to everywhere. I also like it because it sounds better to say Instagram to everywhere than Facebook to everywhere. But if you want to go Facebook first, be my guest. That's going to work for you as well. But I would also encourage agents, like, hey, let's actually shift our mindset from saying I have to pick a platform and instead say, you know what, let's create a space where I'm optimized across all the channels I want to be on, because right now we don't know where the consumer is.
Yep.
It could be anywhere and everywhere. And in fact, I would love for them to see me on multiple channels, because that's going to create a frequency illusion where they think they see more of me and I have more top of mind awareness. So my advice to you would be is focus not on the platform so much as what's the content you're going to produce, what are you committed to, what makes you excited in terms of content to make, and then just get your account set up and lay out the distribution path from Instagram to everywhere. Post it natively. We can go deeper on that if we need to, but to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to YouTube, you name it. I hope I'm not dodging your question.
No, dude, that's perfect, because all too often we'll hear someone say, hey, this is the path. But like you're saying, everyone is a little bit different. Someone might really resonate with Facebook and how it's used and vice versa. Totally. So dude, you mentioned the content side, really starting on the content side. And that's where I'm sure you see it every day, especially with your new coaching students, but we see it all the time too, as people go, shoot, what do I do content on? And we've got a model here at Carrot that's mainly aimed around the organic side of things. But what would you suggest for an agent, or an investor in this case too, dude? What should their first pieces of content be? What should that cadence look like?
Sure.
Is it mostly personal stuff, mostly business stuff? Is it a mix? Let's kind of dive into the content side.
Okay, so let's talk about the personal versus professional dichotomy first, which, a lot of people have cited Gary Vaynerchuk's jab, jab, right hook concept, which was a brilliant concept, but it was pre some algorithmic changes that occurred a couple of years ago. what I've noticed is when people are still operating on okay, I'm going to do 3 personal posts and 1 professional post, like clockwork, it's nothing but crickets when it comes time for the professional post. Nothing but crickets.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, like every post is judged by the algorithm. So it's not so much about like, well, I got so many hearts and likes on this kindergarten graduation picture, but nobody cares about my new listing or whatever it is. That doesn't work anymore. So instead, what I talk about with people is you got to blend the story of your business and your life. They got to be blended together. And, some of my best clients who are really like, they're cleaning up on social media. Like I'm thinking of Glenda Baker, for instance. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. She's got, I don't know, she's probably close to 1 million followers on TikTok now. Her TikTok growth's been insane. She's got about 50,000 on Instagram, growing like crazy. She's getting DMs and PMs and all kinds of pings for people who want to list their properties, buy their properties, agents making referrals, all kinds of that inbound lead gen happening. And all she talks about is real estate. In fact, like that's the thing that I noticed most about her is I see her personality emanating through what she does for a living.
Gotcha. Cool.
There's no distinction. So my thought to it is at the end of the day, your brand is your voice, your mind, your heart, your face. It's you. Yeah. You're the one that's for sale. So I think you've got to put you on camera. You've got to be in the feed. And I'm going to get a sense of your personality. Now, I'm not saying everything has to be about trying to sell a listing or whatever, but I'm also not saying that you can never do that. Yeah. I come across a lot of social media experts who are constantly trying to tell agents to not post about real estate. And I look at that and I'm like, but when I see the agents who are actually making money off of social, it's the opposite of your advice. Like look at the bars, for instance. I know we're cleaning up on social media.
Oh, dude, big time.
They post about their lives, but they're never more than an arm's reach away from their business. Ever.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in social proof. So I'm trying to remember your question. I've kind of navigated away.
I gave you a really bad question. I gave you like 5 questions in one, Jason. So you answered one of them amazingly well. And so let's kind of dive into that content topic side of it. And I think that's really helpful what you'd said in a big way, because a lot of people are taught, 60, 40, 60% business, 40% personal, and the personal are just personal. It's the dog I got this week, which is fine. Right. Versus like you're saying, melding it together. And one really good example that I've seen in the investor world. So for all you investors who say social media is just for agents, which it's not, guys. Like you guys should be tapping into Jason's content and Tom Ferry's content as well. So we have an amazing client. They came up to our event we call Carrot Camp last year, and they're an investor. They go back there and they're filming like restaurant reviews, because Lance, he calls it lunch with Lance, but it's always him, the home buying guys.
Yeah.
He's going out there. He's bringing some of his sellers that they work with, their buyers. And it's kind of like on HGTV, everyone loves the shows that show people what people are doing for profession, watching people fish, watching people flip houses, watching people be real estate agents.
They like it. You're right.
Exactly. And so it's mostly business with some personal stuff mixed in. So
and I would also just chime in on that. Like I love the idea of touring local restaurants, getting to know local business owners, but I would say there's a lot of agents who they figured out they're going to create the diners, drive-ins, and dives Food Network kind of show, because in their head, I suspect a lot of them are like, this isn't salesy. This isn't real estate focused. This is community focused. And I don't want to be that guy or that girl who's constantly about real estate. But I always ask my clients the question, what does your mom watch more of? Food Network or HGTV, or is it a tie?
Yep.
And the answer is usually it's probably a tie or something like that. But my point is, don't overlook the fact that touring houses, talking about houses, people are obsessed.
Yep.
I mean, SNL did a sketch recently on Zillow because people love to look at houses. So, I mean, there should be no shortage of ideas for content when you sell houses for a living, or when you flip houses, or wholesale, or whatever you do on the investor side of it.
Yeah, dude, I love it. So let's say it's an average week for an agent. What are some types of things that they should start to kind of turn that brain on to be aware of to document or create content?
Well, so kind of going back to content. So I teach going back to the Instagram to everything strategy. So the first thing I do is I establish a minimum cadence in terms of how much content, what's the frequency minimum standards per week. And I would get ready to write this down if you're taking notes, if you care about what I have to say. Not you, but like people watching.
I'm going to write it down too, dude.
It's 1 IGTV a week, and you press the share to feed button. So when you're uploading IGTV, there's always the option to share to your main feed. Absolutely a must. Your IGTV, if it's only distributed through the IGTV feed, which you may not have known this, IGTV is its own app. It is.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. Okay.
So if you don't click the share to feed preview button, you're pretty much invisible. So click that button, one of those a week, one reel a week as a minimum. And I'm almost ready to adjust my own strategy. I was looking at my Instagram insights this morning, which you should do from time to time. And I was breaking down, okay, what types of posts of mine reach the biggest audience of followers versus non-followers. So they actually have charts and graphs in the insights tab, assuming that you have either an Instagram business or a creator profile.
Okay.
And they show you unbelievable analytics, including, okay, IGTV, your average IGTV gets this much reach with your followers and this much reach with non-followers. Reels was off the charts.
Dude.
Like 80% non-followers. We're finding, because Reels is the new prized feature that Instagram's touting and wanting everybody to adopt. And so I'm getting right now crazy reach. And I'm generating a lot of followers because they're finding my content through the Reels feed, because they did build the Reels feed straight into the mobile app. Like IGTV got a separate app. Reels took over the app. That should give you a kind of optics on what they're trying to do at Instagram. So I would say one IGTV a week, one reel a week, at least 3 supporting posts a week. They could be photos, they could be carousels. They have 3 supporting posts and then never don't have a story. That's kind of my cadence. So it's one IGTV, one reel, 3 supporting posts, never don't have a story. And then I can jump over and talk about the what. That's the how much of it. But the content what, I typically teach, I think of content kind of like a restaurant menu. You go to a restaurant and they hand you the menu, and this is their way of saying, order something off of the menu. We don't make things that aren't on the menu. We make things on the menu. We have appetizers, we have entrees, we have desserts, pick from the menu. And I think a lot of agents, they wake up and they look at, you called it the hamster wheel earlier. They look at the hamster wheel of social media, and I'll admit it is one. It's totally a hamster wheel. And I think you're smart to listen to this man and try to convert that into some evergreen content. It's gonna help make it more worth the while to you, which is part of what I teach too. But back to this hamster wheel, I think a lot of agents look at the 365-day calendar and they think, what am I going to post today? What am I going to post tomorrow? And it's as if you're having to reinvent the process every stinking day, and that's daunting. I think it's I think the hamster wheel feeling is more of a feeling that's psychological than it is strategic. So what I teach is the menu. It's got 3 parts to the menu. Section 1, we call it shows and series. Section 2, we call it deal data. Section 3, we call it the vault. So shows and series are basically your video shows. This is your IGTV, your reels. I would create weekly video shows. It could be a pro tip series. It could be a market update series. It could be a quick answers series where people ask you questions and you do 30-second Instagram reel answers, that kind of stuff. It could be home tours. It could be interviews with local businesses like you talked about. But you should have your shows and series lined up episodically week by week. Again, my minimum standards for my clients is 1 IGTV a week, 1 reel a week, which basically means we're talking about 2 shows a week for all intents and purposes. Deal data is just listed, just sold, listing video, under contract, offer accepted, open house. It's those types of things, right? So the whole idea of deal data is it should be templated out. Let's use the FARs, for example. The FARs use Canva. If you go to their Canva, they have templates for what a just listed post looks like, what a just sold post looks like. And they literally just sub out the address and change the photo, rinse, repeat. That's what needs to happen to streamline some of the production of content with this deal data. And I talked about 3 supporting posts per week. Here we go. It's in your deal data.
I gotcha.
This stuff's critical. I also think, like, if you look at the FARs feed on Instagram, just Instagram, for instance, I'm going to see the matchy nature of, there's another sold, another sold, another sold, because they match up with each other. And so because of that, it really creates this feeling of, wow, the FARs are really selling a lot of houses. And they are selling a lot of houses, but there's also a perception component too. And I hope you take that into effect. Last thing on content is the vault. The vault is basically just things you do every now and again. You may not do them always, but I'd like you to have kind of a word bank or a vault that you can pull from time to time. So like testimonials. What does a testimonial look like when you post one? Do you do stock shots or behind the scenes shots? So stock shots has been a popular one for a lot of my clients lately. Basically what we're doing is when they have a new listing, they pay their photographer a little extra to basically do some headshots at the property, kind of lifestyle photos
Gotcha.
at the property while they're getting the shots for it. And they just kind of pepper those photos out from time to time with some kind of a melodramatic caption that's maybe related, maybe not related. And those,
dude, so that tip right there, that tip right there is awesome, because if you guys, like Jason's saying, if you guys are already doing listing photos, or if you're an investor going there and doing photos of properties, yeah, like Jason said, why not just have that camera person just turn the camera on you for a few shots? You've got the content right there, dude. That's awesome. I like it.
For the last 15 minutes, they'll film you. Like I have a client in Little Rock, Arkansas, Ray Ellen. He does this. He's got probably 90 days of content already lined up. He's like at the point now where he's like, I have to be be aware of seasons. Winter jacket, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So he's like, that's how far ahead he's getting with doing this. And so he has a spreadsheet where he writes out captions, and they just kind of play the matching game. I'll use this caption for this post, this one for this one. And they don't always relate. It's very personal blogger style, where it's kind of a photo of you and then whatever you're thinking about.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
They do, I mean, invariably, those photos and those posts do freaking well.
Yeah.
So that's a no-brainer to me.
Dude, so those three are awesome. So I want to recap those with people. So you've got the kind of the shows and series. You've got the deal data, and then you've got the third one, which
the vault.
The vault. I love it.
You want.
Dude, I love it. So I want you guys to write those down again. Okay, you got shows and series, deal data, and then the vault. And the reason this is important is because, just like Jason said, oftentimes when we're going to go step into doing something, when we don't have a menu, when our options are limitless, your brain explodes. And you go, oh, shoot, what do I do? And we start to actually get paralyzed when we have too many options. If you go into a grocery store and there's 75 types of ketchup, and there's been actual studies done on this, like psychological studies.
Yeah, it was Barry Schwartz did this. And Paradox of Choice. Great book.
Dude, it's so good, because when you have so many darn choices, you actually get paralyzed and go, well, shoot, maybe none of them.
Info overload.
You do, but if you have three choices, you're gonna be able to pick. And so I love it. By the end of this week, what I want you guys to do is write down those three things, and then by the end of this week, carve out an hour, maybe half an hour, and start to dream. What type of deal data can I start sharing next week? You know, what show or series can we do?
And here's the other trick, if I could, on the shows.
Oh, for sure.
I've been encouraging my clients. I love in the field videos. I love house tours. I love restaurant interviews. I love business interviews, neighborhood tours, but they're a bottleneck in terms of getting them done. Because you got to go in the field and plan logistics and coordinate. The clients of mine who are really killing it with video the best, they typically film one time a month.
Yep.
They typically do everything in bulk. They get like a paper background like this set up. They've got a camera, typically a videographer, and they film some of them use Rent the Runway to get multiple outfits picked out. And they show up ready to film for a half or full day, and they knock out 20, 30 videos in a day, and they're done for the month, move on to the next month.
Yep.
That content gets packaged and released and dripped out throughout the month. That's the way to play it.
And dude, the thing about doing that too is it kind of takes you out of that daily hamster wheel thinking too, right? Because then it's strategic. It takes you from tactical on the day-to-day going, oh shoot, I need to find something to document today, which you can do that in the stories, right? That's where bring out those stories, document that stuff, but then everything else use strategically to chunk it up. So guys, if you listen to Jason, because he's teaching you the path here, but then he's also teaching you the way to make it so it doesn't own your life. Where you own the strategy doesn't own you.
The best agent video creators are filming once a month.
Yep.
Period. That should be your objective. Film once a month.
Dude, so on that there, how much time would you suggest? Well, I guess not suggest. Let's just go with this. The people that are crushing it, like the FAR group, like that other gal you mentioned, the people who are crushing it, how much time are they investing into social per month? And then the people who are kind of doing so, what's your best guess on how much time that they're investing into?
Time they're investing?
Yeah, time.
Okay, so let's use Glenda Baker as an example. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. She's the one who's got like 1 million followers on TikTok.
Yep.
She's putting up, so she films one day a month. She comes ready to the studio. She's got her hair and makeup, her clothes, her scripts, what she's going to talk about. Like she comes in ready to roll and film. Cameras on, lights, camera, action.
Yep.
She'll get 35 videos in 11 hours. So she films an 11-hour day once a month, but she knocks out 35 videos.
Dude, cool.
She's Taya DeCarlo in Manhattan Beach, California, a client of mine too. She does the same thing. She films for a half a day and she's knocking out about 20 videos.
Cool.
So in terms of time, if you already have the big content created in advance, I got to tell you, there's a releasing feeling like probably while we're on this session, I'll have a post go up if my videographer's doing what he's supposed to do. I'll have a post go up, and there's something relieving knowing that I filmed that a while ago and it's rolling. Now, could I be further ahead of schedule? Absolutely, I could be.
Cool.
But the idea of running and gunning is, to your point, you're going to constantly be you're going to be subject to and controlled by social, which is not a good state.
And dude, so one thing we talk about a lot here at Carrot, and so for those of you who are in the Carrot community, you've probably heard this, me say this a million times. For those of you that are new, it might be new for you, but I talk about our stated mission at Carrot is help you to build a business of freedom and impact. Like, we really want people to be free from their businesses. That's where the evergreen comes in, so they can make the impact they want to make. And what Jason's mentioning here, like, let's say you guys wanted to go on a 2-week vacation or a month-long vacation, or whatever it is, which is normally unheard of, for most real estate agents right now. If you could have that content batched, you can still record, like the FAR group. They still took pictures and did stories from their vacation, but they were still cranking through the deal data. They weren't posting the deal data, right? So that stuff was batched. So
scheduled. They now have a marketing coordinator who works for them, so she's taking on some of the load, but that's recent. So a lot of the stuff is just scheduled and ready to roll. I think you've got to, don't be a slave to your social media. That's the goal. Control it, not it control you. And that's a matter of, we need a plan. Experts say, I don't even know who said this, but I've heard it said before, that for every minute you spend planning how to use your time, you'll save 7 minutes on the implementation. And I think that's true in a lot of walks of life, especially in social media. If you just say, okay, Jason said, I'm going to do 1 IGTV, 1 reel, 3 supporting posts, never don't have a story. That's my minimum cadence. That's the output of content. Okay, now I got to fill, what are those pieces of content? Well, I've got my shows and series, my deal data, the vault. Fill in your little menu and then come up with, well, how am I going to film it? And I would say, if you can figure out how to film once a month, if you can try to figure out through Canva or graphic designers or whomever you need to kind of streamline the other post, get these things as turnkey as possible so that really when you're on social, you're just posting stories and you're engaging with other people's content. That should be more or less what you're doing on social.
Dude, I love it, man. One thing we're going to get to here in a bit, guys and gals, we're going to get to essentially, how do you now take this and turn it into leads? We're not going to get there right now. I've got a couple quick questions, because one thing that people might be thinking is like, oh, shoot. So Jason mentioned his videographer's posting for him. That other gal, she records videos once a month, and probably someone posts it for him. But also, you mentioned right there, and a lot of people probably saw it slip by them, was the FAR group didn't have anybody for the first, I think, year and a half at least.
I didn't have anybody till a month ago. So
there we go.
Me too.
Yeah, I love it. So if someone is going to have a team member, and is it a full-time role? Is it just a contractor? What type of investment may people be able to get someone who can run the posting of the stuff and maybe the videos for?
So I'm going to take this 2 different ways. It kind of depends on the channel you want to go after. If we're talking about like Instagram and Facebook, that's a little bit simpler. YouTube's a little bit more sophisticated. YouTube is more of your evergreen content. So YouTube's more of a search engine, less of a social network. And so because of that, there are some nuances to the distribution on YouTube that will make or break what you're doing there. So sliding that off to the side, I typically have my clients usually look for an hourly, part-time, either a marketing coordinator or a marketing admin, whichever title you like better. This is somebody who's paid somewhere between 15 and 20 bucks an hour, generally speaking, and they're basically following orders and instructions. The mistake a lot of agents make is they say, I want to hire a social media director for 35,000 bucks a year. And I'm like, do you realize director titles typically are 6 figures, senior executive level people in companies? Nobody's going to, A, they're not going to work for that money. B, if you hire a social media director and they go to Glassdoor and they plug in what they're supposed to get paid, they're going to assume you're ripping them off. But I think the biggest difference is strategy comes from the top down. So if you're going to hire somebody who's administratively going to take action, they're taking action on what you tell them to do. So I think like that's what the FARs did really well. Krista manages their marketing coordinator. She says, do this, do this, do this, do this, and it gets done. I don't think there's any way around that.
No. And the cool thing about that too is like their marketing gal, man, it was, I'm completely blanking out right now, but they had the original one who's more of their assistant, and now they have the marketing gal who stepped in this past couple months.
Yeah, they have an operations manager and a marketing manager now. So evenly matched like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're actually the ones that hop on the calls with our team. So guys and gals, if you are looking to buy back that time, get more freedom so you can make more impact, maybe it won't start that way, right? You got to hustle and get the work done that first year, first 18 months to get momentum going, but cast that vision for buying back your time. And that's always something I want to have our community look at whenever we start a strategy, just really dig in and make it happen. Even search engine optimization, that takes work. So either you've got to do the work a few hours a week or hire it out, but your vision should always be to buy back the time over the long term. And so,
I think you can work backwards too. Like if you're a perfectionist, I would say, screw it. Facebook and Instagram burn cheap gas, not the premium stuff. You need more. I'm not saying make bad content, but I am saying making more content. There is an element, I'm being somewhat cynical here, but quantity almost matters more in some cases. So I would almost I've had clients buy basically chess clocks, or they set little timers where you're going to say, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to do this, 30 minutes to build this post, whatever it is. And you time yourself so that you can basically predict, well, if I want to do one IGTV, one reel, 3 supporting posts, never done at a story, and I'm going to block an hour to record this video or 30 minutes for that, you can literally map out how much time it takes and then say, can I do that for a year?
Yep.
And then once I'm established, then I'm going to bring somebody on to keep rowing for me while I move up to the next level, so to speak.
I love it, dude. So let's talk about kind of make the transition from we're building the audiences, we're getting content out there, we're resonating, we're building authority, because that's really what we're after here, y'all, is getting in front of people, building that authority. What are you guys finding right now, Jason, that's working great to turn those people watching you from afar into leads, into people that you work with?
Okay, so a couple of things I would say. One is social media has two elements. That's like a two-sided coin. It's got the side of content and the side of conversation. Okay. So you got to do both. I think one of the mistakes I see is agents who are only doing the conversation side, which does work better on Facebook than Instagram. I'll give you that. But they're DMing, they're commenting, they're engaging, they're not creating content, they're not being a knowledge broker. That's a gap. Or the flip side of it, and this is the more common, is they figure out how to make content, or they buy the content worse. And they're just not really there. They seem unapproachable. I think, again, let's use the FARs as an example. They're putting out a cornucopia of content. I mean, they really are, but they're also DMing and messaging and engaging, and they're active in groups on Facebook and so forth, and they make themselves approachable. So I would say that there's an element of content and conversations that really has to be a part of it. I also think this is where, going back to the early thing, is it professional or is it personal content? It needs to be the right hybrid. Because if we teach, this is another framework. I'm actually condensing a 6-hour seminar into some of this.
I love it. No, I love it.
We teach that there are 5 themes of content that you need to be able to address. And it's not even parts. You can decide how much of this or how much of that. But there are 5 ingredients or 5 themes your content should speak to. We talk about real me, or if you're a team, the real us. We talk about agent behind the scenes. These two can be married sometimes. We talk about social proof. So just listed, just sold, under contract, offer accepted, new listing, blah, blah, blah. We talk about knowledge broker, which is big for me. And then hyper local. Where do you do business? Are you boots on the ground? You know what's going on. If you have those 5 themes present in your mix of content, the net effect is people will come to you. And I think that's the thing I've noticed most about the clients I coach. And I have a good number of clients who get a lot of business off of Instagram. People are DMing them. They're commenting. So in other words, they're creating content that invites that conversation, and then it just starts going. Even me, if you ask me, why am I creating social media content? I'm going to tell you because I really like to contribute and things like that, just like you do. But I'm also going to tell you because I'm generating organic leads for Tom Ferry every day of the week.
Oh, big time. Yep.
Dude,
that's how I found you. That's how I found you, because the FAR group commented on one of your posts or shared it. And then I'm like, oh, this Jason guy's their coach.
Do you know which one you commented on?
I don't remember.
I started doing I was going to do a 100 webinar challenge.
There we go. Yep.
And so I started taking a selfie of me every time I was doing a webinar, which I need to get back to doing. But I was like, this is social proof. This is going to make people like Trevor say, I should get him on my podcast. I should get him to speak for me. And then bam, it works. So it's real me, hyper local, knowledge broker, social proof, agent behind the scenes. If those things work together in some kind of a shape,
Yeah.
you're going to attract people to want to work with you. I hope that resonates.
Oh, dude, I love it. And one thing I want to kind of pull out right now, I just came to the realization. So you were mentioning the post that I engaged in, and let's kind of relate this over to an agent or an investor now, right? The reason I engaged in that is, number one, I'd seen Jason for probably a year because the FAR group, one of his clients, posted about him or tagged him to it or said I'm hopping on with Jason or something. So I started following him. And then I see him post this thing before, all your content's amazing, but I'm not an agent, right? And I'm like, okay, it's great. I'm going to learn from it, but I'm not an agent. But then that one post struck out to me because I'm like, oh, I can help him here. And also this might be an opportunity for us to connect, and I can help my audience. Like, let me take all this stuff that he's been teaching. And as we've been growing a bigger user base on the agent side, let me take his knowledge and plunk it over here to help serve people. And if he hadn't have done that ask, you didn't do an ask, you did a, hey, here's my journey I'm on. Here's the challenge I'm up against. Yeah, exactly. So you toss something out there. Hey, here's the journey I'm on, and I look at him. Shoot, I'm gonna dive in, serve him, serve my community, and be able to meet an amazing dude. So don't be afraid, guys, to do that. Exactly.
Yeah. But I would tell you, like, if your content is not sparking comments and DMs, we need to adjust it because that's where the money gets made, is in the inbox.
So how can people do that? What are some of the ways? Let's get kind of tactical a little bit. What are some of the ways that people can do that to spark those? So
I think you have to ask yourself why. So like, let's go easiest. The simplest explanation, or the easiest way to do it, is reciprocity. Yeah. Start commenting on their stuff. Start messaging them. And you're going to actually reverse prioritize yourself, where they'll probably do it, one, just because it's human nature to like to reciprocate, but also because when they reply to your DM, when they reply to your comment, that's actually a signal to Facebook and Instagram that they want to see your content too.
I gotcha.
Prioritizing yourself in the feed. So I would say, out of the gate, you need to be engaging with their content to invite them into yours. They'll return the favor. The other thing is ask yourself, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but hey, when I post this, what kind of a response am I expecting to get from it? What is somebody likely to comment, or they're going to scroll past? Will this get them to, would I stop and like it? Would I stop and comment? Would I save it? Would I share it? And so forth. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, big time.
I know that's kind of a surface lying answer, but it's the truth. Because I think a lot of agents are just trying to phone it in, like, oh, I just got to get it out there. Yeah, you do, but what's the point of doing that if it doesn't actually get out there? Because we know the way these algorithms work is they don't serve dud content in the feeds. So I would argue in the first 10 minutes to an hour, Facebook and Instagram have decided if they're investing in your post or not.
Gotcha. Yep.
So if you can't get conversation, so like, we'll talk about this, but you should optimize your content. Like for Instagram, out of the gate, I would do a couple of things. I would tag a location when you post, when you can. Reels, you can't really do that. But when you can, I would tag a location. I would use hashtags strategically. They give you up to 30. We don't copy and paste hashtags. They don't like that. We vary our hashtags. We don't spam with hashtags. We're careful that our hashtags aren't actually what we think are innocent, but aren't innocent hashtags. Because if those hashtags are blocked, you're screwed.
I gotcha. Okay.
I tend to like hashtags that are between 100 to 500,000 other posts using them. That's kind of a sweet spot where I stand a chance to populate in the Explore feed.
Yep.
I don't care if the hashtags are in a caption or a comment, but you got to use hashtags. I would tag people when it's relevant. So I've done this two different ways. Sometimes if I have a post and I want to just kind of give it a quick blitz into the feed, I'll tag 4 or 5 other people like the FARs.
Okay.
Because there's a good chance they're going to comment on it quickly.
Yep.
Because they get notified. If they comment that, now don't overdo this one. But every now and again, it's enough to kind of spark, like get a little flame lit on your post. Yep. Cool. And then sometimes I actually private message it over to people. And that can help do it too.
Dude, I'm going to kind of riff on that a little bit. So people, there's a couple good questions coming through. We'll bring them over here in a second, but I'm going to riff on that. So here's a couple thoughts that popped up on what Jason had said. So let's say I'm a real estate agent. I've got a house on the river that is being listed, and maybe it's not even my listing. Maybe it's someone else's.
Sure.
And I have 4 people in my database I know are looking for a house on the river. Take that picture, and I'm not an attorney. I don't know what's going on with your guys' local MLSs. So check this, make sure you guys can do what you can do here. Yeah. But you take that picture of the property, maybe the carousel or whatever it's called, tag those 4 people. Hey, this amazing property is just beautiful, and blah. Is something like that something that you would do or educate people to do, or is that something that would not be a good one?
So as far as, again, I will echo you in terms of, hey, make sure you understand what your real estate commission, your MLS will and won't let you do. But if I heard you correctly, it sounds like you're on site at a property. Let's pretend you're showing somebody else's listing.
Yep.
Your clients don't want it, or maybe it's a broker preview, but you're like, I have 3 buyers who would love this.
Mm-hmm.
You can private message it to them. I don't see any issue with private messaging it to them and using. And in fact, I have a lot of my clients who are they're pulling back from text messaging and they're using more DMs, because the byproduct of that is actually I'm signaling Facebook and Instagram to prioritize my content organically based upon these exchanges happening in the DMs.
Gotcha.
So they're just using it as a substitute. Is that what you're describing? Did I catch it properly?
Dude, yeah. I was there's a property, tag people to it that I know are interested in it, get people to engage.
Yeah. But as far as like taking photos of other people's properties, obviously follow the rules, but people do it all the time.
Yep, for sure. Dude, here's one more that I've seen work. But same thing. It was a while back when I first saw it working, and I don't know if it's the same now. And we've only got a handful of minutes here left, y'all. But this one, your real estate agents would post something like, "Hey, I just did a search in the MLS. There's 85 properties that you could buy for less than $800 a month. $800 a month. Hey, everyone down below, post your rent. And if you want the list that I came up with for properties you can buy for less than $800 a month."
Yeah. So we've done those. We have the DM us your rent. That's what we used to do. So we haven't done it in a while. So I call them calibrated stories. Basically, it's a calibrated question. Do you want this? Is this a yes or no response? Based on that, I can message you. So they say, like one of them has been, I'm just trying to go back in time to remember these questions. One of them was, are you thinking about selling your home or planning to sell your home this year or next? Yes or no? And sometimes people say yes. And if they say yes, you DM them and say blah, 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 blah. And you start talking to them, have a conversation. I like the idea of what's your current rent? And I'll tell you what you could get this property for, what you could afford in terms of a purchase price. That's one that would probably work really well right now, except it's super competitive. I'm just thinking in my head right now, because I would want to be careful around clear cooperation and MLS stuff, but you could theoretically. So don't do this if this is against the rules. But
exactly.
Theoretically, ask the calibrated question. Like, imagine a story poll where it's a yes or no, or an ask me anything. They can input a question.
Okay.
Hey, are you searching for a home and can't find one? Would you be interested in somebody who is looking for off-market properties for you?
Gotcha. There we go. Yep.
Yes or no? Because that would solve, like, that's a pain point that a lot of consumers are feeling right now. Our terminology is off-market matchmaker, sort of the terminology. You got to be very careful that you don't violate the clear cooperation or MLS rules and stuff. Just be very careful around that. But to me, it's like I have a script that some of my clients are using, and this is a little bit off topic. They get a lead from Zillow or something like that, and the person wants to go see 123 Main Street that's already under contract. And the script is, hey, can I be blunt for just a quick second with you? And they say, sure, would you please be? Listen, the market's super hot right now. Candidly, anything you're looking at on these portals, for all intents and purposes, is just the floor model. It's not the one you're going to buy. The one you're going to buy is not on the market yet, which is why you need an agent like me who's willing to circle prospect, door knock, blah, 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 give the whole spiel to go find properties that meet the specifications of what you're looking for. Would you be interested in that? Yes or no?
Dude, that's gold right there, y'all. So all you real estate agents who are struggling with listings, that right there is an amazing mindset shift, but also it's a great positioning. It's an amazing positioning shift for y'all, because so many people are struggling with, oh my gosh, I'm making 20 offers for these houses. And if you can shift towards more of the off market, dude, and that's a whole nother call that would be really fun to dig in with you on.
A lot of opportunity there.
Oh, it is, dude. And that's what we focus on here at Carrot. It's all off market stuff. It's like all off market stuff. And so as we're trying to work more and more with agents and investors together, it's like, all right, how do we take the 80% of the seller leads that come in for our clients, for our investors? Like 80% of those leads want retail. And most of the investors are taking those and throwing them away because they're like, oh, they're tire kickers, or they're not realistic with their values. And we're going, no, you either become hybrid or you take those 80% of the leads. Tens of thousands of seller leads are getting thrown away in our system right now. Tens of thousands every month. And we're like, all right, take those and pair up with agents, or become an agent, or whatever it is, or agents pair up with them.
Totally.
Oh, it's crazy, dude. So a couple more questions to finish it here. Awesome. So Royce Haney, he loves the strategy you just taught there. I love it. And what did you call that? You called that off-market property?
Off-market matchmaker.
Dude, I like it. Guys, become an off-market matchmaker. Go look in Jason's content to follow him on Instagram because he teaches that. And I'm sure in your guys' YouTube channel, you guys have videos on that.
I have one of the posts on my Instagram will link you to my website. There's actually an email you can send to your entire database.
Yep. Cool.
And I'm dropping a video next week that's designed to generate seller listings. So just make sure you stay tuned to what's coming out next week.
I love it.
Seller listings, seller leads, sellers are listings.
There we go. Hey, you're good, man. I like it. So I've got one question. This is actually from an investor. So this would be an interesting one from Heritage Home Buyers. What about an investor wanting content for sellers and buyers both? Do you mix it, segregate best practices? So I want to toss this over to you first, Jason, from your perspective on the retail side of it. And then I'll kind of add a little bit of color on the investor side, since on the investor side, most of the time the buyers and sellers aren't the same person. You know, it's like, it's a highly motivated person. They're not also looking to buy investment properties, but I'll show you guys what you guys can do on the on that side.
Just to ask a question. I assume the challenge is you're trying to find folks who want to sell their properties so that you can then resell them to a buyer, and it's a different value proposition.
Yep.
The seller wants to sell because they probably need to or want to make it easy and painless or whatever, and the buyer is probably going to pay. You're probably going to flip the property, I assume, which means they're going to pay a little bit more, and so you don't want to turn people away. You don't want your buyer content to make people not want to list and sell their home with you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
That's the idea. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm having a moment of pause to think about that.
Cool.
One thing I would say out of the gate is most of my clients, we just talk about the market, because when you talk about the market, it will naturally lead you to share, well, here are the pros and cons for buyers and sellers. Here are the pros and cons for buyers versus sellers. And the market is the market is the market is the market. I'm just the messenger of the marketplace. And so I would then focus my content for sellers saying, look, selling your home right now is an amazing opportunity. Boy, I'm having a hard time answering that question. I want to give you a legitimate answer that's not completely fabricated BS.
No, I threw it on you, man. I definitely wasn't expecting you to kind of go over to the wholesale world. What you had said though before was really, really important, because you were saying talk about the market, and that's something I think investors in general have that disadvantage versus agents, because agents are so tuned into knowing what's going on in the market. Investors know, micro markets here or there. Oh,
I got it. I'm sorry.
Hit me with it, dude. Hit me with it.
A couple of campaigns we're running. So I have some clients who do this one. We call it the search, stay, sell. It's a tongue twister. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Search, stay, sell campaign.
Okay.
So what that campaign is, hey, would you love to cash out in this unbelievable seller's market, but you're not ready to move yet? Maybe not for a year or longer. Would you be interested in selling your property to me, and I'll lease it back to you at a very good rate for as long as you want? So I've had having folks like, that's a pretty decent angle to get in and find some folks who, like, maybe they're about to retire or they want to move to Florida or something like that. And they're interested in cashing out in what they think might be the height of the market, but they're not ready to go yet.
Yep.
So I'd be talking to those folks and saying, can I provide you with a solution? I know Easy Knock already has we thought we came up with this ourselves. They have a program called Sell and Stay. Yep. So we called ours Sell, Stay, Search, because that gives you the ability to stay while you search. It's the same idea. I think that's a powerful campaign to talk about, but I also, I'm waiting for someone to do this video. I've had this video in my mind for a while, asking the question, how much were you paid to live in your house this year? That's the pattern interrupt question.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Paid to live in your house this year. People are like, well, what do you mean? And I was thinking about this, actually came from a call with the FARs. It's funny. I'm going to share some of the details. I'll keep it anonymous. Cool. We're talking about, when should you be reaching out to your past clients, your past buyers, to see if they've had any thoughts of selling? And the debate was, well, if they've only been there for a year or two, it's too soon.
Yep.
And there was somebody who worked for the FARs on their team who had bought with them within the last year. And I was like, well, hey, how about you? Have you had any thoughts of selling? And she's like, every day.
Really?
And I was like, when did you buy the house? And she goes, 9 months ago. And I'm going to make these numbers up. Okay. I'm going to make them up. I go, what did you pay for it? And she's like, $250. And then I asked Aaron, I'm like, what do you think it's worth today, 9 months later? And he said about $350.
Sheesh. Yeah.
So call it $100,000 in 9 months. Really, the truth is the number was $90,000 in 9 months. That's what it actually worked out to. And so I was like, so literally you've made $10,000 in equity every month you've been living in that property. So I think there's content around the idea, but I also, this one's for your investors who want to pick up some listings. I have this other vision of a video where there's kind of a table that's empty and you kind of walk in with the duffel bag and you unzip the bag on the table and you dump out a ton of different poker chips, just poker chips all over the table. And you hold up the poker chips to the camera and you say, the thing about poker chips is they're worth nothing until you cash them out.
Ah, gotcha.
And the thing about the equity in your property is it's worth only whatever the market says it's worth when you sell and cash out.
Yep.
Is this the time to cash out?
That's good, man.
I just think helping people see like, okay, I have a choice to make. The market is what it is. Is this the right time for me? And talking about the market.
Dude, I like it. And that's a huge shift for everyone to make. Okay. There's always something going on that's interesting in the market. Talk about it from your authority point, from your advantage or from your vantage point. And the biggest thing, like Jason talked about before, going back to heritage home buyers, is I don't think you really have to split up your content between the wholesale buyers and sellers. You come from, hey, here's our mission, our vision for our company. Here's the impact we want to make locally, but let's document how we're in business together. People will see that you buy houses. People will see that you flip houses. And at the end of the day, one big mindset shift that investors need to get over, and what the successful ones do, is the sellers who sell to you know that they're selling at a discount. Like you're not pulling the wool over their eyes, nor should you. That's not the game. The game is speed and convenience. And just like when we go down to a car lot, we go buy a new car retail, and then they ask the very next question they ask us, hey, do you have a car to trade in? We know that we could sell that car for more on Craigslist, but we choose not to because of speed and convenience. So if that's the mindset gap that you've got, heritage home buyers, that you think, shoot, I don't want them to see the other content, they should see it so they can see your business model and see that you're a true, honest, ethical business that goes out there and serves people, and just talk about the market, which is great. So
agreed.
Dude, Jason, I know we're at the end of the time. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you're passionate about talking about, whether it's related to real estate or not? But is there a topic that's really helping agents we didn't touch on, or dude, even anything else you're just passionate about?
List here. I made some talking points. I'm scanning my list to see what we covered and what we didn't. Can you just rattle through these things and see if anything sounds good?
Yeah, you go for it, man. Pick maybe the one or two most powerful ones that jumping up.
So get reels going. Again, reels, 80% of the people seeing my reels don't follow me. It's a way to grow your following.
Dude, I'm going to do my first reel today. I've never done a reel. I'm going to do my first one today. I'm going to do it.
You need more content. I made a note to increase your content by an order of magnitude. Like I said before, Facebook and Instagram burn cheap gas, which means you need to start filming and creating content in batches. That's going to be critical. Dig into hashtags. We covered that. Location tagging. We covered that. Story sharing, reciprocity. You share their stories, they'll share yours. That's just the idea of reciprocity in terms of networking on social. It is a social network. Comment, share their stuff, and they'll do the same for you. We talked about, well, we didn't talk about this. So running Instagram promos and then boosting your Facebook post. So don't be afraid to put some money behind your best content. Okay. So use the promote button on Instagram, use the boost button on Facebook. Use the old, this is Dennis Yu's $1 a day method, which you can Google. Dennis Yu $1 a day method, which basically says everything you post on Facebook, just spend $1 for 7 days and see how it does basically with a low spend. And should I promote that content further? Because that way what's happening is you're paying Facebook and Instagram to show your content to a wider audience, which means if the content's good and if their algorithm is working effectively, they'll choose to follow you. I have a client who, she's got like 18,000 followers. I was like, how did you do that? She's like, I promote every post for $5 or something. And I was like, okay.
That is cool.
Buying your followers, but you're buying them in the best way possible.
That is cool. I like that.
Contribute and keep Facebook groups. Don't overlook Facebook groups. Go live on Instagram with influencers, because when they go live with you, it notifies their followers, and then you get floor time with their followers. Yeah. So like, if there's an agent that's got a good following, go live with them. Use your email list. You should be promoting your content through your emails. You should be paying attention to the analytics and insights on Facebook and Instagram in terms of when to post content. I'm only going so fast because I know you're going to put a blog out with this.
No, this is good, man. I love it. I love it.
You'll get all the content there. In your stories, use the clickable stuff, the yes, no polls, the AMAs, the slider scales, anything interactive. Use that, tag your location. That's going to help your stories go to a farther, wider audience. Stop phoning in your captions. Get serious about your captions. They need to kind of invite a conversation. Your video thumbnails need to look good and pretty. That needs to be standardized. I would encourage a lot of y'all, if you want to get serious about content, hire a graphic designer to say, build me the templates that I can just rinse and repeat. That's what the FARs did. Build me the templates, put them in Canva, and I'll rinse and repeat all the live long days. And then the rest is there's some other odds and ends. But I just think it's a matter of, your content is the most important thing. So don't be stuck on the idea of I have to create content for every platform. I'm going to create my content. I'm going to distribute it across my platforms. But if I choose to be active on a platform, then I must be active. I get less out of LinkedIn because I don't work LinkedIn. I get more out of Instagram because I work it the most. That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
And dude, one thing on that too, if that is going to be your active social channel and you're not active on there, what happens when your prospects see it? They go, shoot, that person must not really be doing a lot of things or whatever it is. So dude, we're right up against the hour, and I appreciate you spending time with us. Like I said, you're the energy that you put out into the market. Absolutely love it. And one of my favorite core values here at CARE is be a beacon of positivity and possibility. And you embody that. Tom embodies that. And so I just appreciate you guys doing what you do in the real estate space, not just teaching tactics and strategy, which is very important, but the mindset behind it, the energy behind what agents do is not just listing and selling properties, it's actually serving people. And you guys really serve the community well, man. So I appreciate you spending the time with us. And
thank you for having me. It's been a blast. I look forward to connecting with everybody else online. And we should do a follow-up part 2 on this at some point about the market matchmaker stuff.
Dude, that'd be killer. That'd be killer. Now I'm going to wrap with this right here. That's a great segue is we have a lot of investors and agents. We've got about 8,000 customers here at Carrot, about 7,500 are investors, about 600 or so are agents, and we're building the agent side of it. And here's the thing, y'all. The reason I say that is this is I really believe we've been saying it for 3 years, and now it's kind of accelerating. The retail side and the wholesale side are kind of scrunching together. And you've got the iBuyers in the middle that have kind of pulled it a little bit faster. And the better that you guys and gals, whether you're an agent or an investor, can serve your sellers and your buyers, the better you can serve them with, not just building the authorities the way that we get in front of them, we build the trust, the way we build the credibility is crazy important. But the way that we serve them is going to be really, really important moving forward. Are we truly serving them with the options that sellers, all the options that sellers have, so we can compete against the iBuyers, so we can compete against the other agents that actually are making offers. But then on the other side of it, y'all, is on the evergreen side, take everything that Jason said here and implement it, deploy it to build the authority, to build connections, to pull in people, because this is where you get the relationships. You don't build relationship from a Google or from a blog post on your website. You build authority there. You could build relationship. The relationship is right inside of this phone. It's on your Instagram. It's on your Facebook. And so mix the two worlds, y'all. Mix your social and building authority through that. Take that content like we teach, put it onto Google, put it onto YouTube to build evergreen, and it's going to be an amazing match right there. So Jason,
killer point.
Dude, appreciate you coming on here, man. Let's connect for sure after this. Guys and gals, we're going to post up his Instagram handle again, but just go follow him, Jason Pantana, Pantana. Go follow Tom Ferry as well. Whether you're an investor or an agent, you guys should follow him. And Jason, thank you very much, man. Have an amazing rest of the week.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Thank you, Royce. Thank you, Diana. Awesome, Stephanie. Thank you, guys. Excellent. All right, we're going to end this puppy. Thanks, man.